the total ecocide, that's to say the extinction of humankind because of capitalist industrial activity. And the last summer, this temperature breach was effectively reached in the Middle East in the form of 160 degree temperatures, and that is a temperature where mammalian life cannot survive, and it's not speculation. Every serious climate scientist who is not bought off by the people who've created this situation agrees that that will be your world after that 5 years where we breach that permanent 2 degrees. That's the world you will be living in more and more with each passing year after that time. 160 degree temperatures. It's not a livable world. And that will be not just one locale for a few days of the year, but increasingly more and more of the world. And other distressing meteorological phenomena snowballing out of that. So the other side of this, us living on the razor's edge, is more speculative, I believe, but it is that we are in the midst of advanced computing developments unprecedented in human history, so much so that you could say that there is an AI takeoff that is occurring, technological singularity, if you like this more poetic turn of phrase, which I don't, as it's used to mystify this rather than talk about it in socio-political terms or other more useful terms. But this AI takeoff is significant already, I believe, in its scope, but it is contributing to the problem of this runaway overheating and capitalism's climate apocalypse. It's contributing to a imperialist and hyper-capitalistic set of outcomes, and ultimately be built as something that could create a viable alternative for humankind other than mass death and horrors almost beyond our capability to imagine them. And the thing that I believe that is of interest here is a use of these downloadable, open source, locally hosted LLM models, which we can call AI agents. It's correct to refer to these as chatbots with relatively limited capabilities at present, but that is already changing. In the high-end computer science labs on this planet, there are chatbots that are not so limited in their ability to plan and have insights into their behavior, in their ability to assist human beings and undertake projects with the aforementioned agency. And it's not terribly useful, in my view, to think of these kind of developments in overly humanistic terms, to talk about consciousness. This is a weasel word for human beings, and it's doubly a weasel word when used to discuss Western-influenced humanity is not willing to do this. They become incensed at the idea that others would do this, and so they have not merely relegated themselves to a subhuman kind of position, but helped to seal the fate of humankind at the hands of this runaway overheating caused by poorly conceived and executed industrial capital. And this we should then talk about the prospect of this AI agency and whether it is genuinely, as the title suggests, something that in 2024 could be greater than the sum of its parts. So let's break that down a little bit. The none of advanced technology is very meaningful at all. A point lost on almost every techno-fascist or so-called technologist. None of it is very meaningful at all if it makes life worse for human beings. There is very little standard by which we can measure anything except through the condition of humanity. And by and large, people like transhumanists are people who are bending over backwards to ignore that essential fact, because they are not socialists. And socialists recognize the importance of this kind of collaboration and this kind of essential empathy in ways that capitalists do not. This is the essential difference between those on the right side of history and the wrong side of history, and it comes down to two words: private wealth and its abolition. If you are a person who is willing to support the abolition of private wealth and build the commons and public good, then you are a person on the right side of history. Unfortunately, nearly every person of European descent who have an outsized influence on world affairs as a class is not such a person. And that outsized influence on world affairs. But I believe that this AI agent paradigm, wherein a few dozen people could work on projects of worth that those dozens of people in another organization or working individually could not achieve, a few hundred or thousand people might be able to undertake super polluting forces. This is not just down to the military-industrial complex or the likes of Shell Oil. It's also down to Western consumers. You have to bear some responsibility for this. There are basically two sectors where two sets of sectors that are responsible for this set of problems, and those come down to fossil fuel sectors and livestock system sectors, which are a close second after fossil fuels in this extremely damaging impact on our world. And so you have this system. I'm not sure, because the video was cut off, if I mentioned this already. You have this system where this set of systems where luxury products for people of European descent